Thank you, Rafael. And please allow me to thank to WMU, the Minister of Ocean and Fisheries of Korea, and as well the Korean Maritime University for this invitation. So I will extend the presentation that I made during the third workshop in Malmö for more information, as I promised there. And this is the outline for the presentation today. First of all, we want to show that this is the vision we have as Peruvian state about how we can manage the geopolitics. So we believe we are a bioceanic country because of the Pacific Basin and with connections throughout the Amazon to the Atlantic Basin. We have interest in the Antarctic as well, and we are an Andean country. So Peru is located in the western South America coast. We have more than 3,100 kilometers of coast, and we have sharing the boundaries with Ecuador, Colombia, Brazil, Bolivia, and Chile. We are 33 million population in 2020. We consume a lot of fisheries productions, especially everything within our EEZ. And the fishery sector in Peru is a significant provider of jobs, and the seafood industry is around 1 to 1.5 of the GDP. It contributes so many to the economy. This is the evolution of the GDP for extractive fisheries in Peru in US dollars million. So in 2021, the GDP for only fisheries was $577 million. So it increased 2.8 from the previous year, and this circles you see there is a variation during the years. And what about the Maritime Authority of Peru? I'm going to explain because since I am in the Navy, people ask me how the Coast Guard could be in the Navy, and for us it's a very easy job because our organization is like that. The Chief of Navy have the councils in the right side, and the other organs like for control is the Internal Inspectorate and Defensor, Juridic Defense, etc., and the Chief of Staff in the Navy. Then the Navy has all the general directions for administrative issues. But the Navy has 4 line organs, which is the Cyber Defense, the Command of Pacific Operations, the Command for Amazon Operations, and the General Directorate of Competencies and Coast Guards. Sorry, this is in Spanish, but I think you may guess what I'm talking about. And the General Directorate of Competencies and Coast Guards is the Maritime Authority by law. So the Vice Admiral, who is the General Director, he has 2 hats. One as the number 4 in the Navy, which boss is the Chief of Navy, and the other one is a Maritime Authority. When no one is the boss because he's the Maritime Authority nationwide. Below the Maritime Authority, the General Director is the Coast Guard Operations Command, which is the law enforcement agency for the Maritime Authority and administration. The DCAPI, the General Directorate of Competencies and Coast Guard, is the Maritime Authority and the Maritime Administration. We will see the roles of the state later, and you will understand better. So the thing is that in different countries, the different roles as a flag state, coastal state, or port state control, they are in different agencies or authorities. We have all the roles in only one authority, with some duties for the port, National Port Authority, especially in ISPS code and the Facilitation Convention, and for the Ministry of Transportation for the flag provider. But as a flag state, we register and certificate the Peruvian flag ships. We control the training and certification of the seafarers. We make the casualty investigation, and we regulate the operation of the ships. As coastal state, we are responsible for the safety of human life at sea. We repress all the illegal activities in the aquatic environment, which is the sea, the rivers, and the lakes. So we have to say that we have more than 70,000 kilometers of navigable rivers in the Amazon. So our job is huge. And we have the highest navigable lake in the world, which is Titicaca. We share with Bolivia. So the area that we have to control and provide services for search and rescue and safety of human life at sea, lakes, and rivers is enormous. We prevent the marine environmental protection, so we are in charge of the ship routing and control of marine traffic, the BTS. Actually, we're constructing a very new and modern BTS in the port of Callao. Will be ready for 2024. We are in charge of the safety and navigation as well for the notices to mariners. And the search and rescue area, our search and rescue area is up to 3,000 nautical miles from our coast, up to the meridian 120. We are in charge of the oil spill contingency. As you already noticed, we had not so big, but the biggest in our history oil spill in January last year. And we are in charge of security issues as well. For port trade control, we made all the inspections to foreign flag vessels that arrive to Peru, to our ports, in order to control the level of the safety and security and marine protection at sea. So these three main duties, maritime security, marine environmental protection, and safety of life at sea, is going through the control and surveillance of the maritime activities in Peru. This is all the threats that we have in the aquatic environment, which are caused by man, by the human being. Illicit traffic of weapons and goods, drug trafficking, theft and armed robbery, chemical and biological pollution, and bioterrorism as well, ship impersonation, IUU fishing, illegal construction of ships, traffic and illegal human migration and stowaways, illegal timber trafficking, especially in the jungle, illegal mining, especially in the jungle as well, cyber crimes, maritime cyber crimes, the COVID-19, which is still an issue, and illegal transportation of fuel and smuggling. And there are some threats that are not caused by men, but maybe maritime casualties and natural disasters. What the assets we have to fulfill these duties, they are our Coast Guard ships, and this Coast Guard ship, the 204, is it has a project of 10 of these kind of ships. We already construct 6, and we're going to construct this year the 7 and the 8 of them. And we have also for the bays and the ports the other kind of ships, which are the port patrols or the bay patrols. But since we are in the Navy, we use as well the assets of the Navy when we need it. So, for example, we have the frigates and corvettes, which are in the Navy, the submarines. In the jungle, we have some ships from the Navy, but we can use it for the repression of illegal activities, the aircrafts, and as well the Marine Corps and the Navy SEALs, and all the assets of the naval aviation as well. So how is the Peruvian fishing law in the international context? Sadly, we are not part of UNCLOS. I hope so someday we will. But despite we are not part of UNCLOS, we fulfill all the provisions in UNCLOS. It's like to be a member of a club, but you cannot go to the club. So it's amazing. Someday I hope to Peru will be part of UNCLOS, and we are part of of the Inter-American Tropical Tuna Commission, the South Pacific Regional Fisheries Management Organization. In FAO, we have the Port State Measuring Agreement already signed, and the National Plan of Action in IUU Fishing. We are part of the CITES as well, the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species in Wild and Flora and Fauna, and the Convention of Migratory Species of Wild Animals, CMS, and finally the Convention of Biological Diversity. But in IMO and ILO, in IMO we are part of the CTA agreement since 2012, and in ILO we are not part in World Fishing Convention, sadly, but we are part of number 114 and number 113, which is revised as a technical convention, but we put this in our internal laws as well. So the PSMA was signed in 2017. No, it was approved by legislative resolution and ratified by Supreme Decree in number 40. And for the fishing legal framework, we have this legislative decree 1393 in 2018, which regulates the interdiction of the illegal fishing activities with fishing resources, operation, or illegal shipyards. And we regulate the interdiction measures that consist of seizing or destroying the equipment used by illegal fishers. It was modified as well the criminal code in order to categorize the illegal extraction of and processing of aquatic species as a crime, you know, and the penalty is imprisonment for at least 3 years and at most 5 years. In 2020, we modify the Supreme Decree 1620. Sorry, there's a mistake here. It's in 2016 was the original one, and it was modified in 2020. And it says that the ship owners of foreign flags that carry out fishing activities of stranded fish stocks and highly migratory fish stocks, or transboundary on the high seas under legal representatives in the country, to be authorized to operate in Peruvian ports and shipyards must fulfill the following. So, before this modification, around 400 foreign flag ships entered to Peruvian ports to make shipyard repairments or to get all the logistic provisions. But we changed this in 2020. After this Supreme Decree, 3 only enter in 2021. So they have to fulfill the following issues you will see. The flag state of the fishing vessel shall be a member or mandatory participant of our RFMO. The fishing vessel shall be authorized to operate within the scope of the previous regional organization, if it's applicable. The fishing vessel shall not appear in a IUU fishing list. They should have the satellite tracking system, the BMS, and will be in our system. We can be able to see in our system, and the monitoring system, the AIS. The BMS belongs to the Fisheries Agency, and the AIS belongs to the Coast Guard. And they have to provide the position of the 6 previous months. So after this, from 400 to 3, you may guess where they happened before, you know. So all this international framework, legal framework, is in line with our domestic regulations, especially the Constitution, the laws, and the criminal and the civil code as well. What about Peru as a fishing country? Well, in 2020, China was the major producer with 35% of the total fisheries and aquaculture production of aquatic animals by inland and marine waters, followed by India 8%, Indonesia 7%, Vietnam 5%, and Peru 3%. These five countries were responsible for the 58 catching worldwide. But we have to say that our fleet is only fishing in the EEZ. We don't have so many ships that go overseas or in the high seas. The top seven capture producers: China, Indonesia, Peru, India, Russian Federation, the United States, and Vietnam account for almost 49% of the total global capture production. The global marine captures in 2020 were 78.8 million tons, a decline of 6.8 from 2018, but there were relatively high captures of anchovy reported by Peru and Chile, and the global catch of jumbo fly squid, we call in Peru pota, I don't know why, don't ask me, and it grew from about 128,000 tons in 2000 to peak 1 million in 2015, before fluctuating in subsequent years, reaching 880,000 tons in 2020. This is the graphic. So the source is the FAO, the Sofia report. So the most of our captures, as you can see, is marine water captures. And the marine capture production, you can see here, Peru is the number 7 in total, but if we exclude the anchovy, which is our major catching operations, we are around the 1.22 percentage of the world catch. With the anchovy, 5%, 5.61. Okay. So, and about the species, the anchovy is the number 7 in the world capture species, and the jumbo fly squid is the number 15 in the world. So, and what about Peru in the Americas? This is the aquaculture production, fisheries and aquaculture production, and we expect to grow from 2020 to 2030 in 28%. So look at the difference between the anchovy and the jumbo fly squid in thousands of tons. And what we do with the anchovy? Sadly, we don't use it to feed people, but this is used mostly for fish meal and fish oil. And you can see the Peruvian fish meal and the Peruvian fish oil is higher than the world production. Okay, we can see that this here, the top 20 squid producing countries in 2019 with 90% of the total catches. China is the number 1 worldwide, and Peru is the number 2 only in our EEZ with artisanal fleet. Why? Because the jumbo squid, flying squid is in this area only. So it's a bless for us. So you can go no more than 15 or 20 nautical miles and you can find the squid in large amount of them. And in this is how the global capture productions, especially for the jumbo flying squid, was fluctuating during the years. You can see that, sorry, in several years the capture increased dramatically. So this table will be understandable more in the next one, but we can see how the value of the thousand of tons is fluctuating during the years. And this is what I prepare during the year from 2001 up to 2020. This is the production of Peru and China, and this is together, and this is the global catch. And you can see that only with Peru and China we catch the 97% of the global jumbo flying squid in the world. And in 2021, this is the together catch. We don't know what was the global with. I couldn't find the number, but I think it will be around more than 95% for sure. Okay, why there is so much demand of the jumbo flying squid? Because the 75% of the animal can be used for food and is the high nutritional value. So this is very important for China, for sure, and for us we use this not so many for feed our people, but for exportations. So this is the fishing fleet targeting jumbo flying squid in the world. And for example, we have here 90% of the world fleet in distant water fleet is for China, 2.4% from the Republic of Korea, and less than 1% for Chinese Taipei. But in coastal fleet, 62% is for Peru and 37% is for Chile. So together, these three countries with this fleet, they catch annually more than 356,000 tons, and in our coastal fleet only, between Peru and Chile, we catch more than 462,000 tons. So it's amazing how much we have very close to the coast. So then the topic we are to have here. So this is the different kind of IUU fishing activities we can have: fishing in another country without license, non-contracting party fishing, fishing without license in your EEZ, contracting party fishing but not reporting, fishing in EEZ without license. So there are the fishing vessels enter into another EEZ from the high seas, fishing in areas during closed season, transshipment of fishing in the high seas without authorization, fishing in prohibited or reserved areas, which we have around 10% of our maritime domain or EEZ is a reserved area, and finally fishing of species that are not authorized or forbidden. And the average annual gross revenue from illicit marine fishing affect the countries in this how can I say this percentage? For example, for the Southeast Pacific, 0.6% of the 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 percentage is affected by these illegal actions. What we detect, but since we cannot do anything, since it's not a clear uh, violation of the law, is, for example, this is the route of the fishing vessel in blue, you know, and the reefers. The reefers come and go from the Asian countries, especially China, to the high seas in front of the coast of Peru, and the tankers as well. They have some tankers coming from Asia, but we detect two of our national flag tankers, private companies, going into the high seas and selling fuel to the China fleet. So, is this illegal? No, but we tell them, okay, but you are doing this, and in order to to be in friendly relationship with the navy, they change the flag to another flag, but same ship owner, and they didn't charge the or upload the fuel in Peru, but they do in Panama. So this is how the maritime business works. You know? The socioeconomic factor for jumbo flying squid resources. Uh, this resource represents the second fishery product for national export. $847 million we export in because of the pota, the jumbo flying squid, and internationally the resource demand by the Asian market and capture worldwide. The exploitation in national exploitation occurs in areas inside and barely outside the nautical miles, the 200 nautical miles. It means in our EEZ, and international the exploitation occurs in international waters without the regulatory framework of the states. So only the RFMO. The fishing fleet is made up of artisanal vessels, and the fishing vessels consist of medium-sized and larger vessels with additional and logistic supply and factories. And there are moderately long operations are carried out no more than 1 week at sea for the artisanal fleet, and for the international the sustained action are performed without return to land. We detect a ship more than 545 days without arriving to any port. So imagine this crew, you know. And nationally, they do not reach a formality of their activities. They are subject to national regulations, payment of taxes in favor of the national treasury, and internationally they operate under the regulation of the high seas and do not pay any taxes. Nationally, they land and processing the resource mainly in the northern zone of Peru, and internationally the resource is derived to international markets. And finally, nationally, the important source of labor generation in capture and processing is a very high, very important activity for generation of jobs. And for Peru, internationally, it does not generate direct or indirect local labor. This is how we see jumbo the jumbo square, flying squid in the world, the fleet, and we can see the fleet moving outside our EEZ. We can see here how they moved. It was during the period of I think it was from August to November in last year, and this is the pictures during the night, the luminosity. And from October we are doing this permanently, but this is, graphics are from October, and you can see how the fleet is moving. Here those are the colors for the different flags: Peru, Spain, Chile, China, Panama, United States, and Ecuador. and the groups in green are less than 100, sorry, and groups in yellow are more than hundreds. So we can see how they are moving every 15 days. And this is the type of ships we can see outside our EEZ in the high seas. Actually, what's the Peruvian tanker I was talking about. The electronic means we have to monitor and identify all the foreign flag vessels, especially the fishing vessels. First of all, this is our SIM track. Sorry, the SIM track is our system provided by a company under the software called Temis. You know, SIM track is the name we put, is an acronym we put in our organization, but actually it's a software. We use as well from the European Union. They provide us under the Crimario project a system called IORIS it was originally for the Indian Ocean, but nowadays it's worldwide. This is a skylight, another system we can use for watching the fleets. The IFC of Singapore, which we have a long-term tradition of working together since 2013. We send officers as a liaison officers there, and they provide us as well all the information and the access to the IRIS system. And lately, the government of Canada provide us this system up to April this year. It's called DVD. It's nothing related with the videos, but it's for the vessel detections. And we are using together. This is very important for watching what is happening, and we can check if there is differences between the what a system detect or not. For the interdiction of IUU fishing activities, Peru has a long history of interdiction. I don't know if you heard about the Onassis case in the 54. In 47, we declare it was actually the previous statement for the creation of EEZ during the conference for UNCLOS, and we declare, after the Truman Declaration in the United States, we declare the sovereignty rights over the platform, the resources, and all the living resources in the waters up to 200 nautical miles. In 47, there was only the 3 nautical miles territorial sea at that's all. So this was the fleet, the Onassis fleet. It was a Greek ship owner, and they were catching whales inside the 200 nautical miles what we declared previously. So we catch 4 whale catchers and 1 whale factory ship in November 1954, sorry, and we find with $3 million. Can you imagine $3 million in 1954? It's a lot of money nowadays. It was the factory ship called Olympic Challenger, and this is one of the whale catchers called Olympic Conqueror. So in 2004, we catch 9 squid jigger vessels inside the Peruvian EEZ. We used 3 frigates and 2 submarines at the time. In 2004, we didn't have the new Coast Guard patrols, and we sent the Navy ships, and we captured them, 9 squid jigger vessels. Uh, I don't know if you heard about the case of the Mansai sorry, ship. This ship was in Peru. I don't know how we flagged the ship for a while, and then we put out the flag again. The South Pacific RFMO put in 2014 the Damansahau in IUU fishing vessel list, and it was the world largest fishing factory ship. It was detained in 2018 in the port of Chimbote in Peru, and originally was designed as a oil tanker with the technical capacity to process 547,000 metric tons of fish per year. Nowadays is a Russian flag ship is sailing only in the Russian EEZ. We can see here Callao, where some contradictions happening during the administration. And it is the name, history, and flag history of the ship. Look from in the past from Bencape, Lafayette. It was a French flag for a while as well. Protang Orinoco, Lafayette as well. Freeport Chief, Dorsetshire, Protang Orinoco as well. Lafayette, Damansahau, and nowadays Vladivostok 2000. And the history was Bahamas, Liberia, Malta, Dominica, Russia, Mongolia, Peru, Belize, Moldova, Russia, Peru again, and then Russia. And the ship owners and operators history. There was a case, was called the Sea Shepherd case. Despite of the maybe good intentions of some NGOs around the world, we feel that they have to fulfill the regulation of the coastal state when they want to help. Okay, and since our country have the Coast Guard, the Fisheries Agency, all the assets that we have, if you want to help us, you may do it with assets, not with ships with different flags, because of, as you already know, the monopoly of the violence is owned by the state in your territorial sea or in your EEZ for the living resources. So since 2018, the Sea Shepherd started the operations called Mama Cocha. Cocha means body of water in original languages in South America, from Costa Rica, Panama, Ecuador, and Peru. In August 2020, the CERNAM, which is the National Service for the Natural Protected Areas, signed an MOU with the Sea Shepherd unilaterally and without the consultation with other national entities. And then in August 2020, the Sea Shepherd publishes on social networks as an achievement or goal the signing of an MOU with Peru, and we noticed about it by the social media, you know. And after a claim of other state entities, CERNAM finished the MOU in October 2020. Why? Because CERNAM belongs to the Ministry of Environment, and the Ministry of Environment is under the executive power. But very smart movement. Next, Sea Shepherd in December 2020 signed an MOU with the Public Ministry. The Public Ministry is the prosecutor, which belongs to a different power, the judicial power. And since we believe in the separation of powers, we cannot say them, okay, finish the MOU, because they say we are a different power. So we started in a different way, because in order to sail in the EEZ or territorial sea, you have to have a permission. You know, first of all, about the sector, you have to have the permission for the matter you are going to do, sailing in the EEZ, and after that you have the permission for the Navy or the Coast Guard for the sailing permission. You know, which one is the operational permit and the other one is the sailing permit. So in 2021, Sea Shepherd requests the navigation permit for a foreign recreational ship. The class of the ship is pleasure craft, you know, and called Ocean Warrior to the Ministry of Transportation, which authorized the ship to carry out research work of marine fauna and hydrobiological resources. It was the topic. So, and the plan for 5 months. In the MOU, Ocean Barrow will be available to assist prosecutors in their duties. So imagine, in our EEZ or the territorial sea, a ship with different flag, with prosecutors of the Peruvian state on board, doing interdiction operations without the Coast Guard or the Navy consent. It's crazy, you know. Easy, we don't allow the authorization to depart from the ports. So the objectives of the MOU was to provide the tools for the protection and well-being of the Peruvian Sea. Look at the ship. It's not a pressure craft. It's not a research. It's not a research ship. So it looks like a warship. Even the color of the ship is a warship, and with the symbol of Sea Shepherd, you already know. Sea Shepherd is, they call themselves the Navy of Neptune. So this is finished. We already didn't permit any operation for them, but it's some things that you should to be aware in order to keep the legal framework and the well development of all the administrative ships things in the IUU fishing activities. So we have a very new legislation for extinction of property. So in the legislative decrees regulates the extinction of property, but we put inside with a new Supreme Decree in 2021 the guidelines for consider the IUU fishing activities as one of the causes for the extinction of property. And after this, we confiscate two Peruvian, no, not us, not the Coast Guard, but the state, confiscate two Peruvian fishing vessels due to illegal fishing activities. And it was a great strike because these ships, Peruvian flag ships, they were fishing in not authorized zones because of the size of the ship. They were inside the 5 nautical miles. So they didn't see where that they were accused by this, and they arrived to a port and the ship was confiscated. Was a good example of how to fight against the illegal fishing activities in our national waters. But for IUU fishing interdiction operations, during 2022, when I was the Chief of Staff in the Coast Guard Operations Command, in the coastal zone, north, center, and south, we made around 277 operational actions with different agencies, with the fisheries agency, with the prosecutors, etc. And we seized more than 5,000 kilograms of illegal fisheries. And for foreign flags, we catch only 6 Ecuadorian ships enter into our EEZ. I have to say that we didn't detect any foreign flag ship coming from the high seas to our EEZ. the foreign flagships. I don't want to say one or two countries, but the foreign flagships under the South Pacific RFMO, they are very careful to enter because of they can be denounced under the South Pacific RFMO, and it could be against the quota they will receive every year for catching for extraction. So I think it's a good policy for them. This is the pictures with some of our IUU fishing interdiction operations and ongoing actions related to prevent the IUU fishing in Peru. We just ratified the 10th of February, less than 1 week ago, the FAO agreement to promote compliance with international conservation and management measures by fishing vessels on the high seas, 1995. This is a very new resolution which approved this international agreement, and we have to work for the fulfillment of these provisions. Second, in November 2022, the CPPS, which is the South Pacific Permanent Commission, approved the regional action plan to face IUU shipping in the Southeast Pacific 2022, and they have targets and indicators in strategic axes. The one is control and surveillance, one target, 5 indicators, monitoring and information system, 2 targets, 5 indicators, port state control, 2 targets, 3 indicators, training and skill improvement program, 3 targets, 7 indicators, and relationship with other organizations and international stakeholders, 2 targets, 4 indicators. Regarding the SDG 14, we have 2 targets, which are the 14.4 and the 14.6, to effectively support harvesting and ending overfishing, illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing, and destructive fishing practices. We are working with the other agencies in order to effectively fulfill this and get these targets, and the prohibiting certain forms of fisheries subsidized. If we get this, we are helping the commitment of the SDG 14 in around 14% of all the SDG number 14. Another thing is that we get from the government the good willing for update our system in order to have a maritime domain awareness system more strong and more modern for dark vessel detection, fleet management, satellite imaging, radar and optics, imaging processing, intelligence analysis, open source data, integration of different sensors, search and rescue, meteorological and oil spill modules, and everything based on big data, you know. And another good not new is that the 23rd of January, less than 1 month ago, the government authorized the transference for $100 million for the construction of the first of our 3 ocean patrol vessels. I will not be the commanding officer because it will be ready in 4 years, sadly. And as well for the construction of the 7 and 8 over 10 patrol ships, which will increase our capacities and assets. Proposals to reduce the incidence of IUU fishing in Peru. First, the creation of the National Superintendents for Fisheries and Aquaculture to create a national fisheries and aquaculture supervision and inspection system. It will be among all the stakeholders in this IUU fishing activities develop and implementation of an integrated information system, which is ongoing, incorporation of the artisanal fleet into the national satellite monitoring system, because we don't see them, they don't have any detection capabilities, and to increase the coordination between the Ministry of Production and the regional governments to complete the transfer of fisheries competences. This is not finished as well. Final thought: with political willing, legal framework, and interdiction assets, which is very important, we will be able to an effective IUU fishing combat. This is our motto: always vigilance, always with honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Captain Menacho. Considering that you are flying this afternoon, maybe we can take some questions here and take a little bit more time for question now, because unfortunately Captain Menacho will not be available for all the panel this afternoon, maybe a little bit, but maybe not for all. So if there is any question from the floor, please. Yes, please.
Thank you. Thank you for the, it was really, really good. I learned a lot. So I really enjoyed the presentation. Just two quick comments. Our own team, with some Japanese colleagues and Global Fishing Watch, are just about to publish a global study on squid fisheries, focusing on the unregulated nature of many of the squid fleets. So that'll connect a lot of those dots in some of your slides by showing the global migratory nature of those fleets. I think that comes out in early March. And that also includes the previous chair of the South Pacific RFMO, Osvaldo. I did have one quick question, which was just in regard to the law of the sea. What specific articles or why does Peru struggle with the law of the sea in terms of ratifying the law of the sea?
Basically, it's a lack of information, and because people believe, especially fisher people, they believe that if we access to the UNCLOS, international fleet could be to the 13 nautical mile and fish everything. In addition, I always be aware about the translation from English to Spanish, because the area in English, in Spanish is la zona, and there is a misunderstanding between the la zona and la zona económica exclusiva, which is the EEZ. And there are some people against the UNCLOS saying that there is an international authority of la zona económica exclusiva, which allow international countries, different countries, to come here and extract the resources of la zona económica exclusiva, which is in the area. Why I don't know why they didn't call el área instead of la zona. So some gaps that we have to solve with information, but for information we need resources, and we need people, and we need help. You know, we are a country with so many problems inside, so maybe for the government it's not a priority to be part of UNCLOS, you know.
Thank you very much. We have one more question.
Thank you. Looking back to your presentation, perhaps you can explain more about the implementation of VSMA in Peru. I mean, you present that the refueling and so on is through the logistic vessel, right? So how the PSMA works in your country? And then the second, please explain more about the crew change in Peru. Thank you.
So for PSMA agreement, we still don't make any port state control inspection to any ship coming to our ports because of what I told you. In the past, they came around 400 foreign flag vessels to make some downloading of the cargo or repairments or logistic issues. But nowadays it's 3 or 4, you know, and these 3 or 4 they enter because they are in line with all the regulations. So it's this this change we made in the law helps a lot to avoid the, the foreign flag vessels coming here. Sorry, what?
Yeah, how to do the how to do the crew change, sign on, sign off of the fishing vessel personnel or seafarer, seamen in Peru. Do you?
I think I don't
Okay.
understand the question. Sorry.
Yeah. How about the? Could you please explain more about how to do the crew change in Peru?
Crew change.
Yeah. How
Okay.
to do the crew sign off, sign on in Peru? Yeah.
We didn't have any requirement for crew changes since we were in the PSMA agreement. We didn't have any. So if it's a good question because I don't know how we were going to react to this, you know, because we have to work with the migration authorities and the health authorities as well. We were working together during the COVID-19 pandemic for the change of crews, but for shipping vessels, not for fishing vessels. Thank you. Thank you. I will come back and say something about it.
Thank you. I mean, I've learned a lot from your presentation. I'm just wondering the part about the sanctions for IUU offenses, particularly when you said that you can convict the person to a 3-year imprisonment. Most IUU sanctions are restricted to fines. I don't know how that works with your administration. And then the tanker, the Chinese bunkering vessel or something that you talked about, if you look at the definition of support vessels in the PSMA, once you find that the fishing vessel has engaged in IUU, you can bring the two and then punish them. So I don't know, with the sanctions, the imprisonment, is it the owner or the crew? How does it work? Thank you.
And the answer is I don't know. Maybe someone more specialized in PSMI agreement, but since we didn't have any case, you mean about the tanker, foreign flight tanker providing fuel in the high seas, right? So we don't have any action about this because this is not so close to the to our country.
Thank you very much. I would just like now 2 minutes, and then we'll have to close. But I have just a small question for you. The case of Sea Shepherd in Peru is pretty interesting, I think, because it shows also some difficulties of coordination within a state. And in this respect, it looks like you took some time to solve the issue. Do you have now in Peru a kind of a mechanism to address any kind of fisheries related issues, which is incorporating the different agencies in order to avoid this kind of issue in the future?
the idea to create this superintendents for fisheries issues, for IUU fisheries issues, is to be a coordinator among all the states, because it's easy under the executive power, but when you are talking to the prosecutors, they feel they are in the different state or government, because they don't feel they have to do what they are asking to them, because they are independent power. So creating these superintendents could be a transversal coordination, and it should be everyone could be under them. We create this kind of high authority for the illegal mining. It was like the SAR, anti-illegal mining activities, and this guy had the power to move Navy assets, Army assets, Air Force assets, police assets, prosecutors as well. Because by law he has the power. This is what we are looking for IUU fishing as well.
Okay, thank you very much, Captain Menacho. One more round of applause. Thank you very much.
Thank you.